things come up that you don't expect, and that leads to other opportunities. And that's, you have to be open to letting that happen, you know, to pursuing something that maybe doesn't fit your prescribed plan, but then leads to other opportunities. That's really important. I think today, you know, it's no longer the age where you burn a CD or get a DVD and send it to somebody and expect that they're gonna take the time to open that and put it in their player and press play. You know, what they want is an email and a link to performance on YouTube. It's like that, it's there. And so if you have, you know, even for students now, if you have the opportunity to get a well put together, you know, video of, I don't know, your senior recital, just that looks good, but you know, you really want to have out there something that you think represents your best work. I mean, I think it's much better to have a few things that represent your best work out there than 25 videos, some of which are not the very best you can offer, and some of them are. So even as, I think sometimes as a consumer of it, you know, I hear somebody's name, and so I type it in Google and I see a bunch of videos on YouTube, and so I click on it, and you know, my impression is based on what I see of them. And so you have to think about it from both sides of, if I'm a consumer, if I'm somebody considering hiring this artist, what's the first thing I find? And I know even, you know, top artistic managers and orchestras rely very much on YouTube now. It's important, especially now, to not just be content of presenting yourself as a performer, but also think of yourself as an advocate for the art form and the importance of being able to articulate what you do and why it's important. That you know, you're able to play a brilliant recital, but also to speak about what you're doing, to speak about each piece and the composers, and to try to make that personal human connection with audience members and people in the community, so that they'll have a connection and they'll care about what you're doing. This idea about not being too specialized, having abilities outside of just playing your instrument can be developed already in the student days, and that means, you know, learning about other instruments, learning about the history around what you're doing, and just general knowledge is going to be helpful. You know, more and more I realize after the fact, you run into the same people, you know, at festivals, at auditions, at competitions, and you'll be like, oh, we were at Bloomington together, or, you know, we met at a summer festival. And those are actually the connections that end up mattering, or those connections with your peers because you'll be playing with these people your entire life. And the music world gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you go through. You meet people, and then you run into them in another context, and you get to work with them again. So making those connections already as a student is really, really important. And then the other thing I think is to start being proactive already as a student in organizing your own projects, you know, not simply just doing what's necessary to get the degree and be ready for your next lesson, but searching out interesting things to do with other students and organizing a student recital of, you know, repertoire you find interesting, or making your own chamber groups, or just doing projects already now that are interesting and give you an idea of what direction you might want to go in. That, of course, you know, I mean, I know as a student, you know, your time is limited, and you become there's a lot of stress to just get done what's necessary. But somehow it's more enjoyable if you have those other things going on at the same time. And it's a place like this, it's really, there's so many opportunities to do that. So I think that would be some advice for students now at the Jacobs School, is take advantage of that in music and also outside of it in the community here.